Hey, we're back. This is me, your boy, Jeff Johnson, and the number one homeboy.
All right, and I am Claude Faitier. Also number one. We're both number one. And
I was saying he's the number one homeboy. I didn't say I'm the number one homeboy. My number one homeboy is Claude.
Oh, our number one. Okay, all right. You might just my number one homeboy too.
And Claude came up with the excellent idea of says let's do a temperature check. Let's just do what's on your mind, key topic show, because there's a lot on our mind, not least of which it was a time to rock this Black Lives Matter shirt, which was excellently made by one of our college buddies. We were talking about that, and I like the little solo inner piece about I matter. That's cool. So, and then I was talking to and then we kept it light. As Claude talked about the fact that he's wearing a Fantastic Four shirt and he's fantastically Reed Richards looking. Give him your profile.
Well, I don't have the hair, but it's my hair is longer. If you take a look at the earlier recordings, you see I've got the gray streaks.
Claude took forever to get to that. I've been gray a long time.
It was hard work just for those gray hairs to grow out, and not everything.
So why don't you go first? You want to do a pulse check? Want to talk about what's on your mind? Topics?
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely want to see some of the recordings. I guess the thing that I'm sort of checking myself on in a way is I think I've been stumbling a little bit on the introductions or the summary of movies. So I'm making a promise to myself that I'm going to sort of at least in a couple of sentences say what the movie is. I sort of, in my mind, think this is what I'm going to bring up during the show. This is what I'm going to bring up during the show. And then when you ask me, okay, well, Claude, what was the movie about? And I'm like deer in the headlights, And I say, you know what? I just need to at least have a summary ready. Because even when we were talking last time, I sort of imagined that I was going to say, oh, well, the movie started with a mystery, but you brought that up. I immediately went into the war, and that was just a nervous thing. There's just, I guess it's like they say, it's the speech. The speech you imagine that you're going to say, the speech that you say, and then the speech you wish you said. So I want to try to merge them together.
Get them a little bit closer to be together. So we'll try to do that, and hopefully you all watching this will come to tell us about how much better we got over time. And maybe a few of you will say that the earlier ones at least had some value to them, as they kind of drew from, at least drew from the heart and drew from our perspective and our passion about film. And maybe makes you think a little bit about yourself. Maybe there's some like-minded folks out there that you really love film like we do, and you like to chat about films like we do, and you go on hard segues because films make you think about other things. Certainly the best ones do, right? Things as they, I've talked about this before, things as they approach art have more layers, have more depth. And that's kind of how you can tell whether they're art. You've talked about it before, the difference between difference between, something being just fast food. You had a different analogy, so I'll stick with this one. Fast food and a fine dining experience in movies. And, I've eaten a lot of fast food, and there's a lot of fast food I like. And, but, those taste great, feel good, you like them for like that little window of time, and then you're gonna have to eat some more later.
I think I call them junk food movies. They seem really good, and then maybe like a week later you have a discussion with a friend and you're like, wow, you know what, that really wasn't that good.
Exactly.
Or whatever, and it works the other way too,
Well, so this might keep us from getting a certain endorser, but Krispy Kreme is the ultimate of that. There's so much so that they would put the lights on and say hot now, because guess what? That's the maximum benefit of those donuts is when they're hot now, right? And they got people pulling off the highway, right, to pull in to get the donut. And when you eat it hot now and you first put it in your mouth and it's the most amazing, and then before you even get your car out of the lot, it's pretty much that's.
I definitely agree with that, but I'll tell you the truth. We're immediately going to lose them as a sponsor because, dude, I can't rock the Krispy Kreme. I'm on the south side. We got two great donut shops right by.
I know that's right.
I can't.
I know that's right. Obviously, give an
example. I know. I'm just
that perfect example of the complete 100%. No, I don't think there's anything. The only thing maybe more than that would be cotton candy itself. Right? Mm-hmm. Where you look at the color, it's so big and fluffy, and it literally disappears as it touches your tongue. It's gone.
It's gone. And the dentists are happy.
Yes. You don't even get a chance to chew. It's like before your teeth come together, it's just grinding the grit of the sugar directly in your teeth. Yeah. So some films are that. Yeah. Cotton candy is sold everywhere in the world, millions and millions and millions and millions of pounds, and lots of people eat it.
I will eat cotton candy, so if somebody has a cotton candy factory and they want to send us a check,
yeah, no distance cotton candy, ship it straight. Claude will have it. Some films are like that, and we like those. We love those.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But others, like I said, they have layers. They have things that are worth revisiting. That you look at it a second time. That some things that their meanings come back and have significant power. So you asked them what was on my mind, so this type of show, we just hit things. What things are on my mind? Things that, that I can focus with family. We've started having family movie night. As much as I love film, we didn't have family movie night before. So there's a blessing. And the kids are getting excited about it and waiting to have their turn for family movie night. So that's been good. Tell me something more about what's on your mind while I go do a technical.
Okay. All right. Well, I saw an interesting story earlier today, which is really exciting. Apparently, they had found a print of an old George Romero movie called The Amusement Park. Those of you who don't know, George Romero is well known for creating the zombie saga movies. He basically revolutionized, horror films with Night of the Living Dead, which was made a long time ago. Then he had Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, and then I think it was he had a bunch of the Dead movies, and the movie that they recently found, and it was one called the Amusement Park. And apparently, I mean, the cool thing about George Romero in terms of his, he's definitely one of these people that I mean, he was one of these, directors that his horror film was usually tied into satire, and apparently the Amusement Park was supposed to deal with, I guess, sort of like with ageism and his, take on America and ageism. And this was done apparently sometime in the 70s. People who had seen the movie said it was way ahead of its time. It was, I guess, put away, but apparently they recently found a print. I think somebody who had worked with Peter Jackson had said he saw a print of it. He said that he felt it was going to be amazing. So it's getting restored, and hopefully sometime between now and a year, we will be seeing a brand new movie by the late George Romero, one that was made in the 70s. So it's not going to be, something that came out recent. It's going to be, just something that came, at the time when he, I like all his movies, but the earlier stuff had a particular bite to them. Dawn of the Dead, addressed the whole, the fact that the people found refuge and paradise in the mall, and that the zombies were in the mall, and all types of, a lot of different social. He's had a really interesting social commentary. So I'm really, really looking, as a person who loves horror movies, I am. This is like a treat. This is like, yes, bring it.
Nice. No, that's awesome. So we're back from a quick commercial break. Otherwise, known as technical difficulties. It's Jeff Johnson.
Claude Faith here.
And we were saying, you know, what's on our minds. This is what's on our minds, and our minds are usually about film. You know, did we talk about? So I was talking about family movie night. We'll get a chance everybody to pick out films they like. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's interesting, but true. As much as I love film and you love film, we never actually technically had family movie night. Now, of course, you know why? Because we're stuck in the house now, and it's one more good thing that we can all do together as a family. Obviously, in the past, you know, the most desirable family movie night was to go out, and to be sure, we as a family have enjoyed going out to the theaters, especially in these recent days where you can rent out a small reclining seat theater for parties. We've just, you know, recently as a family started doing that a lot, enjoying that with friends who've done it. You know, shout out to a good homie, Craig Barnes. He did his 50th birthday party for Black Panther screening, and he ended up taking 4 screens for that, and did it a theater that had a bar and a bar. And this theater's smart. They have also like a photo wall. Even when there's nothing to have on the photo wall, they still have a photo wall where you go do your selfies at. But for Black Panther, they had a statue of Black Panther. So I guess that's what they kind of do.
Nice.
If they've got good promotional materials, they'll put those up. So that, of course, you know, we go to movies as a family, but we didn't have family movie night at the house. That just wasn't something that was part of our thing. And now, during this COVID-19 quarantine, that's become a thing, and the kids are excited about it. And I'm kind of excited about, you know, picking things that are suitable for the children. And, you know, I mean, I pick things suitable for the children when we go out too, but it's actually interesting and challenging both to find something suitable and that I'm going to find entertaining, or maybe something that from our childhood. And did we do a riff on John Williams already? Did I already cover John Williams as the soundtrack?
Last time we were talking, I believe we did, because you kept recording, and then I think that was the show that I did not know was a show. But yeah, we talked about
right. It was a follow-on or the after chat, and the only reason why that came up, of course, is that I started covering films of our youth, right?
Yeah.
Our teenage years, rolling through Lucas and Spielberg back to back, had you going through lots of John Williams soundtracks. And not surprisingly, you know, my oldest, my namesake, he's into soundtracks, interestingly enough. He pays a lot of attention to who are the composers for the soundtracks of movies, you know. And now that we're in the era of superhero everything, he's very big on the superhero movies, and is constantly talking about who did the soundtrack and what superhero movie and how well they did and whether he liked it or not. And so, you know, Jeffrey will be a guest one day.
Just curious, does he have a favorite 3 that you know of, or name
favorite 3 composers?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you the names of the composers he likes the most. Maybe that's the thing that should. Well, like I said, we'll have him as guest on one of our shows one day. We'll let him tell you, but he definitely does, because he's very opinionated about, you know, whose soundtrack was good and what superhero film and superhero TV shows. It's pretty much all superheroes now. It's a full-on superhero thing. And if left to our house, not just, you know, your household with your Fantastic Four, but if we're left, you know, to our household, we would have all the services that maximize our viewership of superhero movies. And he's even found some very high quality fan-made YouTube series for superheroes. Some of them are very good. I watched those, and then I watched, you know, we're kind of, you know, someone's been joking, we're kind of finding ourselves coming to the end of Netflix. He was like, wow, that movie doesn't seem very recent and seems foreign. It seems that they're just pulling like they know they're running out and they know we're running to the end of Netflix. It's like, it's like, you're coming to the end of the universe. Well, we can't let that happen. Pull a whole bunch of made-for-television Australian movies and see if we can push that past them. That's definitely happening for my kids and their children's shows, right? My 13-year-old is getting kind of pushy about the fact that I've got her like relegated to the kids section of Netflix. And one, she's 13 now, so she feels like that she should be able to see more things. But second, she really is coming to the end of of Netflix, which I'll be like, great, then we can cut the subscription. If you run through all of them, if you binge watch everything they've got, I guess it's all there is.
Yes. Oh wow.
So yeah, that's what's kind of going on, right? The deep dive into other aspects. Again, we talked about the layers. Is it fast food? Is it fine cuisine? Well, fine cuisine really does have all of those things. Excellent sound, the soundtracks that matter. I really am noticing. I mean, I always notice them, but I really am noticing like the soundtracks where they pulled standard audio for certain scenes. And I'm like, wow, I'm pretty sure this is the 5th time I've heard scary walking down the street music. Dun, 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 dun. It's like you pulled the same tape, mix it up a little bit. You come from the same production house, don't use the same sound track because it's really not good. Also, too, what I've been noticing too is just because of this time in America, and everyone's trying to the companies are trying to act more conscious. You and I talked about that. The different streaming services are putting up banners saying, well, and putting their black films up high and close, right? Something that they would otherwise only do during Black History Month, right? They got a whole section for black titles and then moved them up above the fold if it were a newspaper, right? And I'm flipping through those and I'm just like, wow, guys, the more and more you do that, the more you let me know that you just don't have that much content. You really don't have that much content, period. And so, so June is, LGBTQ plus month. And so some have moved their banner up for that and for those titles. And I'm thinking, you're going to have to keep rotating because it's not Black History Month, but you hardly have 30 days worth of black titles. So we do need to keep rotating through different groups because you're really exposing how little content you have from a diversity perspective. And when they do see the titles, they really do seem foreign. They do. It's like they're just pulling foreign films because they're not Hollywood films.
Yeah.
They're not industry films. You're watching them and you're like, it's not just Australian actors. You just pulled an Australian film. Hey, that happened to be about Aboriginal people, and that's how you got your color in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, you don't have anything else.
That's good. It creates a demand. I mean, in terms of, when things get back into production, they're going to be like, okay, so we need some more stuff. So that's time. That's really good. And
it's time. We really thought going into streaming wars, there was a whole lot of talk about how so many different producers had received contracts, and some of their stuff did get all the way through production and dropped just before the COVID breakdown. But my expectation is that these things had better ramp back up and drop once again. We settle into whatever our new normal is going to be. So that's what I've been thinking about.
Right. Well, you know what? Some of the stuff you got me to think about a couple of things that were in the back of my head. You were talking about Well, this sort of connects to, in a way, fan fiction and Netflix. This is not a bit of fan fiction, but it has actually been a really good show, which is a reboot, and which I'd say is probably a love letter to the fans. And I don't know, have you seen the Cobra Kai TV show, which was on YouTube?
I have not. But I heard about it, and that is.
Well, the big news, another piece of big news, is that Netflix now has Cobra Kai. So hopefully, dude, and let me just say this: you gotta check it out. You gotta check it out. It's really, yeah. It's one, yeah. It's very good. And I'm not going to build up to it. We'll talk about it, but I'll assure you, it's worth it. It's worth the deep dive. I can't wait till season 3 comes out. And the stuff that you would want to see in a reboot is in the reboot. So, I can't, just, yeah.
Don't spoil it.
Yeah,
so I gotta go see it. I'm
not going to, Jeff, because I know. I mean, not that we were the greatest Ralph Macchio fans, and it was like we thought the first Karate Kid movie was really good for certain reasons. It was cheesy for other reasons, but I'm telling you, this definitely will tickle the funny bone. This is straight out like delicious nostalgia cheeseburger. And you will be feasting. I mean, I'm gonna tell you right now.
I may have to run and binge it right now.
Yeah. So
that's cool.
But also, one of the executive producers is Will Smith, and it's funny you mentioned fan fiction because a couple of months ago, a friend of mine had told me that he had seen a trailer for Bel Air, and he was under the impression that it was going to be like a serious movie that's based on the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. And I was just like, I didn't hear anything about it, but I went to take a look, and it wasn't actually a movie, but it was basically a fan made. It looked like a fan made movie, and it took a serious tone to the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. It's just called Bel Air. What if it was, sort of like a serious, like a drama? It was a drama, and I had to honestly say, I mean, of course, it's something I would never actually check out. I would not pay to see it as a movie. But I said that this is definitely a level or something that in my opinion would be sort of like a CW show, which I also wouldn't check out. But I was like, I admired the hustle. I straight out did. And what was really cool about it, apparently Will Smith saw it and he interviewed the people who made it. And I don't know if anything's going to come of it. I mean, again, I wouldn't check out the movie, but I could definitely see this being definitely like a CW type of a show.
So what? And so did they also air like the interview like as a documentary or something?
Yeah, I guess, Will Smith, he's been doing his shit, doing, I guess, I don't know if there's shows on Instagram. He's been making like these little videos he's been posting every now and then. It's not like the Red Table Talk or whatever that his wife is doing, Jada Pinkett Smith, but he just, it was sort of like if you see the trailer, there's another link on YouTube or where he talks to them, and I thought that was actually a pretty cool move. I mean, that's just a straight out boss move to acknowledge that someone did something really cool, and I had to give it, I had to give it to them. We have, maybe they need to honestly have like awards for fan-made movies or fan-made trailers, because these youngsters are bringing it, and they are not letting stuff get in the way. So
no, that would be cool. That would be very cool, because now is good, but again, some of these TV made shows, it's a new flavor, right? These streaming services, originals. I was trying to think of what's the term for them. These streaming service originals, you know, our new modern made for TV. I mean, they have to be seen that way. There's a lot of diversity to them, as well as there should, because there certainly should be high end, because they have the money and they can draw for the funds to give us high production value products, which they have. But there's some that are just not. They're just not. And again, the point is, to your point, is some folks are really getting it and getting at it, and they should be recognized, and there should be some kind of way to recognize and elevate talent, because there's always examples, and no matter whether you're backed by the big boys or not, there's still a whole bunch of dogs out there in the world.
Yeah,
and,
of course.
And again, since we're on Stream Central here, I started streaming things that, you know, that I didn't want to watch or wouldn't watch, as an example, right? So you said, this is the What's on Your Mind show. Now I'm winding up. So I said, well, let's go through the Marvel properties for fun, right? You know, again, we'll have Jeffrey on soon to talk about comic books. We've talked about that, and you and I have talked about it, and you're big on it. You know, DC seems to have done a nice job with live action television shows. They've done it in the exact same way Marvel has been successful with secondary and tertiary characters getting their whole show, aka Arrow. You know, Arrow is not Batman or Superman, and he's on season 9 or whatever, and they built the whole universe. They started bringing in other DC characters and introducing them on the show Arrow, and Arrow himself, sorry Arrow fans, ain't nobody. And the other shows. So the shows have been doing very well. But the live action Marvel has been doing phenomenally in the theater with their motion picture stories, and DC has just been sorry, Los Angeles people, but DC has been the LA Clippers of live action motion pictures. I mean, they just can't get right. I mean, they can't. They got right with Wonder Woman. They got right with Aquaman, and they got right with, help me, you know, was there a third?
Well, I don't know. See, I don't know about that universe, but Batman, you know.
I'm talking about live action DC. They've gotten right with the last few.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, honestly, I think, well, I guess Wonder Woman, Batman. Oh, Shazam.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, that's Forest for the Trees. Those last 3, awesome, and I said them in order.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I said them in order of greatness. So we've covered this before. You know, so let me clean it all up. I said them in order of greatness. Watch them in that order, because Shazam is amazing, is the greatest of them. But the other ones, you know, my goodness, they're just screwing the pooch on the franchise. It's like they're afraid to do Batman now because they messed up so badly.
No, they're not afraid, because they're doing Batman. They're doing Batman again. The live action. They got this one with Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz is playing.
I'll say it this way: they should be afraid. Be afraid.
You know what?
Do better.
I would beg to differ, because the only time, honestly, that they screwed the pooch on Batman, honestly, in my opinion, and God rest his soul, because he passed away this week, was Joel Schumacher's, you know, Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. Those are the only 2 dogs out of the whole bunch.
Yes, those are dogs. But I'm talking about even in the recent year. Batman versus Superman, that was a dog.
Okay.
And was an example of them not really knowing where they want to go. And there's reasons behind it, but it still was bad.
Yeah.
And the fact that they made Batman versus Superman 2 again was an example of them not really being clear about their vision, blah blah blah. So hopefully they'll clean it up.
I you know what, I can agree. I mean, technically, I think they're not on my favorite, any far from being my favorite list. I mean, just honestly, I'm not fans of those movies, but I think they did pretty well financially. I guess that's what I was, you know. The other ones did well financially too. So you know what? Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think. I mean,
the analogy I was making is, as a generic statement, DC is doing better in television and Marvel is doing better in film.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, let me check to see if that theory is true. That DC is doing better in television than Marvel is not doing so well in television. Let me check and see if that's true. Yes. Yes, it's true. Yeah. All those Marvel shows that I didn't watch, it's a good reason that I didn't watch them.
Yeah.
They're not good. I knew the Inhumans were going to be a dog before it even came out.
The dog was the only good thing in that. The dog was only good thing in that. The dog is the best part. From what I've heard. That's from what I've heard.
The dog is the best part. I was waiting to see the dog too, and they didn't do him exactly. They didn't give him his little bleep 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 bleep. They made it his fur, which was a cop out, and his fur would glow. They didn't give him his little antennas, but the dog is the best part. Oh my gosh, I will not watch any more of it. I gave the pilot a chance. The pilot was terrible. How do you make a terrible pilot? Then I went one more episode just for fun, just to see. I think I went 3. I watched 3. The pilot was awful. Awful. Episode 2 was terrible. Then I'm like, they can't go 3 in a row like this. Then 3 was just ridiculously bad. And that's it. That's all I'm going to watch. It was exactly like I thought. And I don't know. There must be some Inhuman fans out there within the sound of our voice. I'm not one of them.
No, well, the Inhuman. I don't think the Inhuman fans were fans of that either. I mean, and I will tell you, you lucked out. You lucked out because the pilot was actually aired. They actually released that one in the theater for a while. That was part of the promotion. So somebody, I think, paid some. Either saw it in the theater. I think they may have gotten a few IMAX screens of all things.
I remember you saying that. Are you kidding me?
So yeah. Dude,
it was the worst. 0 production values. Ladies and gentlemen, we cover the standards, okay? Again, you can really do a low budget film. Claude and I are big advocates for low budget films. It's about the content, right? But here are the basics. Step 1, be indoors. Step 2, indoors with lots of hallways that look the same. Let's go for a stroll and then turn right and then keep turning right. Why? Because it's really only in one intersection. It's not a hallway. It's not a building. It's just one intersection. And they just move the plant each time. Yes. Let's go on outer space, but we have to stay inside a tunnel the whole time. Our spaceship is one series of the same intersection, and we just keep walking and we walk. Wow, that's sure the hallway looks the same. That's because it's the same.
Yeah, just change.
So Inhumans are on the moon in a small city. They do zoom out a couple of times, and you can literally watch the CG. It looks like a sim. It probably was a sim. Like they had a video game sim playing on their desktop, and they recorded that, and that was the city. That's the big shot from a distance, and then they zoom in. When they zoom in, they're in a concrete hallway, the same concrete hallway. For Chicagoans walking here, it's UIC. I love my city, Chicago, but everyone knows UIC is one big concrete slab design. That 1970s exposed concrete slab design, where everything's the same grade concrete. That's what they decided to do Inhumans in. And they walk down the same concrete hallway. They sit in the same concrete open air auditorium. They walk back down the same concrete hallway for the for the pilot.
Can I ask you one question? When did they cut Medusa's hair? Was that in the pilot?
During the pilot.
Oh Lord.
Thank you for the segue. So how can you have Inhumans? How else can we save our money, Jeff? I'm glad you asked. Well, Medusa, who is a comic book character who has really big, long, flowing red hair, which of course is easy to do when you're drawing a comic book. You can just amazingly just draw her hair. It doesn't have to be practical, right? Because it's not film, it's a drawing. And you say, look at her hair. And then she walks in the next room and it's flowing. And then she can attack with it and she can grab people with it. It's a super powered hair. It can be ridiculously super long, and then she can pull it back in, and she can pick up things, and she can lift herself up in the air. They cut her hair. She grabs a gun. She chokes a person once, and I think she hits somebody once in the pilot. And then the mean old bad guy cuts her hair off. So we won't be using those special effects again. That budget just got saved by $15 million, Claude.
Oh, wow.
What savings?
So her hair got upstaged by the dog. The dog got all the special effects.
The only special effects they spent their money on was for the dog. Who teleports. So he walks in good and you say, take me to wherever, and then he disappears. 50% savings. Half the time he's on the screen, and the other half he's disappearing because he's teleporting. So I don't have to show him because he teleported. That's why he's not on the screen. So I don't have to pay for that part because he teleported. The rest, the rest really could have been shot on an iPhone. That's what they should have used it for, an iPhone commercial. They should have said shot on an iPhone 5.
Yeah, but then I don't think people would buy that phone.
Just awful.
Oh,
Awful dialogue back and forth about the royal family and their channels. Oh, and then the peasants are miners, meaning as in they mine, they dig in the mines. So Claude, again, you're at UIC, and then go find a hallway that has a ramp that goes down to the basement. And so every scene where they say, "Dear peasants, I have a speech to you," they have the same 20 people standing down in that bottom of that same stair, the same ramp that goes down to the basement. On building 16 at University of Illinois at Chicago with the same generic concrete walls. It's the same. They're standing in the same stairwell every time he addresses the peasants. And they're down in the stairwell because, you know, they work in the mines. And so that's why they're always at the bottom of the stairs. I'm going to do the Simpson blink now. That's it. There's nothing else. There's the dog. Rewind and fast forward to see the dog every few seconds. That's what you should do. Oh, my goodness. I didn't care about the comic book characters before you put them on the screen. I really, 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 really don't care about a soap opera. It's essentially a soap opera because Medusa, I mean, they do have action video punch scenes where she's punching somebody because she has to punch somebody. Claude, why does she have to punch people? Because they cut her hair off. That's her only superpower. And then her husband, the king, his superpower is, wait for it. He can't talk. If he does, it'll blow up stuff. So he better not talk. No special effects needed for that. He barely does American Sign Language, barely. And they have him twice in 3 episodes whisper, and he whispers once and he makes a car fly. And then, better not do that again because it's dangerous for the people. No, because we can't afford the special effects. It's like season opening, season closing. That's the only time you can say anything. Keep your mouth shut. We can't afford it. He made one car flip and they show a flashback where he blasts his parents, but he doesn't do it on camera. He says, wait a minute. And then you see the parents' hands fly backwards. And then you see a stain on the wall.
Oof, okay.
They have 0 production values on the show. First off, I didn't care. And they gave you a story and a script and it's basically a soap opera of royals that you still don't care about. And then they gave you 0 production values for the show. So that was that one. So I knew it was going to be terrible. It was terrible, and it was off. So I said, okay, well, how about Agent Carter? Right? How about Agent Carter? Agent Carter was on. And so the Inhumans only had 2 seasons. 2, I think it was 10-episode seasons, and then peace. In fact, I don't think it was that. I think it was 110.
I had one question. I had one question. You said Black Bull barely could do, I guess, American Sign Language. Yeah. Was he as good as the sign language guy at Nelson Mandela's funeral? Right.
Who they let get within 6 feet of Barack Obama. Oh my gosh. Secret Service. They had a guy who did not know how to, that's what he's referring to, ladies and gentlemen. Google it. Nelson Mandela's I
don't know sign language, but I think this dude
this dude straight up infiltrated the ceremonies and did not do American Sign or anybody's sign language right up next to all these leaders. Yeah, no,
I would love to have like I would love to have had a deaf person telling me what, I'm sorry, I know I'm messing this up. I would love to have a sign language person tell me,
this dude, I mean, facial expressions, it is acting. Act royal. He's supposed to be a king. He knows his voice is a supersonic, blow up the world power. Ugh, awful, yuck, bad. It would be hard to work with in the first place, but they didn't even find a creative way to utilize the fact that this guy can't speak, because when he speaks, it's like a nuclear explosion or whatever the heck. If he whispers, he can blast the car down the street. So he blasts one car, 3 episodes. So Inhumans, awful, 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 awful. And they have the nerve, they're going to try to bring it into the MCU. Just say no. Just say no.
Yeah, well, the only encouraging thing is that they would at least have had to bring the Fantastic Four in to bring them in. I guess that would be the only. But anyway.
That was terrible. So then I brought up Agent Carter. Mm-hmm. And I just couldn't help myself. I mean, Agent Carter, totally different. Television level production values. The season premiere, they just used all sorts of footage from Captain America First Avenger. I mean, they put that footage straight up in there to establish who she was and what her background was, which is cool. Television, normal, network television level production values. And it was a period piece. That was maybe the most redeeming values of it. All the rest is just another excuse for not being able to cast Black people. They actually gave a brother a role as like running a cotton club. And I was like, oh, cool. He'll be her Huggy Bear. Right? She'll go to him to find out the word on the street. And at least he might be somebody, a character that has some redeeming value, that, he owns his own cotton club. He's neither good nor bad. I mean, these are the levels of Black that we have to accept in Hollywood, right? And so, so at least he's not way down here. He's about there, right? He has his own business. He's a morally, what's the term we want to say? A morally not defined character, right? He's mostly good.
Morally ambiguous, right?
Yeah. He's kind of morally ambiguous. He's mostly good. He knows what the bad guys are doing. You'll have episodes where he'll only go so far, but he won't go that far, and he'll tell Agent Carter, I have my morals. They want me to blow up the universe.
So he owns a club. So I guess to a certain degree, if they developed this character, he could sort of been like a Black Humphrey Bogart, a Casablanca type, which
right.
Which actually, I mean, if that, I don't know. I haven't seen the show. If that's what they did, hopefully
that's what they could have done.
They could have done. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's what they could have done. But they just capped him. They just capped him in the first episode.
Okay.
I was thinking, because I was being cynical. I was like, oh, Jeff, don't be so cynical. He could be just like Claude said. He could even go further and move him up more, in the ladder, that he could be that more significant.
Could have connections. They have to go to different countries, and he'd be like,
right. And she's a spy, and they're constantly dealing with issues of her being a woman who is not being respected. Somehow she's in a super secret agency, but all the men are big, dumb guys who are being sexist to her. Her boss is an Italian dumb guy, and I'm like, get your period right. Are you sure? Are you sure around that time period that a government agency like the FBI or this super secret agency would have had an Italian person in charge? Or you need to cover all forms of your level of discrimination. Would have an Italian achieved that level of in there? I mean, I don't know, but they could have explored that, but they didn't.
I mean,
instead,
maybe, but yeah.
Instead, they used him just so he could use his accent and his mannerisms to exacerbate just another dumb male who doesn't give Agent Carter respect. Yeah. That's how they used him. Is my point, right? So again, was there an opportunity to be even more deep or even more accurate? No, he was just there to be another dumb guy, an Italian dumb guy, a German descent dumb guy, an Irish dumb guy. See, diversity.
Yeah. Well,
dumb white males of different ethnic backgrounds being sexist,
and they get all the credit.
Being sexist.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a place that really happens.
Yes. Being sexist to Agent Carter while she overcomes. Agent Carter's got a British accent. They don't really explain that. They expect you to understand. Jarvis has to have a British accent because Tony Stark programmed him in as his thing. But now we're going back in time. He has to be the real Jarvis. So we got 2 white people with a British accent. Both of them probably American actors faking it. It's hilarious. They have Miss Carter. Agent Carter's in the U.S. She's in New York. So when she goes on her missions, she's constantly dressing up as an American And then she, of course, uses what the actress's actual accent is, I guess, or at least she uses American accents that fit the character she plays. I've covered all the redeeming values of the show. Right now, I just did. That's it. I've covered all that's good. The rest of it, is it something that we want to watch? I was trying to look it up fast to see how many seasons. But it doesn't matter. I won't be watching any of them.
Yeah. I'd honestly say, surprisingly, as much as I enjoyed the Marvel movies, I haven't really tried any of the Marvel TV shows. I haven't even watched Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., which had a pretty long run. But yeah, no, I just, not that I had any particular bias. I wasn't going to watch the Inhumans, though. I could already tell that was garbage. But yeah, I don't know. To me, it was like, you guys have been rocking the movie theaters. The things I did check out were sort of like DC seemed pretty comfortable in terms of the TV lane. Although I've tuned out of those shows. I watched the first few seasons of The Flash. I saw maybe like first 2 seasons of Supergirl, and it's just yeah. I think they're good. I think they're family entertainment, yeah. I just really haven't gone back to them. I'd honestly say though, and hopefully I'm not gonna say anything too offensive, but it's like it seemed like almost every episode somebody was coming out of some type of closet or something. Whether they were oh, I'm a lesbian. Oh, I'm this. Oh, I'm that. Oh, I'm fine. It's just I mean, I'm for it, but it just seemed like when so much stuff is happening in one show, it's just like, okay. but I'm for inclusion, but it's just just like when it happens so many times, you're thinking, okay, it's happening a lot. Sort of
is it inclusion, or are you just trying to get it all done in one show?
Or what?
Is it inclusion, or are you just trying to get it all done in one show? Can you have separate shows? Can you have it representative of multiple shows, or no? We're all they've got, so we've got to get it all in. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
I have not watched, and I think you're talking about the 2 ones that really went long, which is Flash and maybe Arrow, right? Because those seem to be the ones that are franchised.
I haven't seen Arrow, but I saw Flash. I saw like Supergirl, and I think I saw a few episodes of Black Lightning, which I actually want to get back to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, DC just have, and then we haven't covered it before, and I won't belabor the point. The whole the Marvel Netflix series ones was just, I mean, those imploded.
Well, except for Iron Fist, but yeah.
I tried to patch them together. Jeez. Yeah, Iron Fist didn't implode because it was terrible from the beginning. They tried to make one feed into the other, but they were just awful. I think they tried to make each one have its own kind of genre. The best one, sadly, was the character that I knew the least about, where they gave us a modern film noir. That just barely.
Jones?
Yeah, Jessica Jones. They gave us a modern film noir, and so that was the best of them. They're just so television paced, and again, this is coming from me, who, I grew up on television. I watched far, far, far too much television in my youth. You think that I would accept the pace and tone of television series, but no, you've got to bring it. We're at an age now of excellent, truly excellent television programming, especially on the streaming services. You got to bring it. So the best one was Jessica Jones with her film noir thing. But it seemed like they were just like making up a thing. Jessica Jones would be film noir. Luke Cage would be color modern film noir. Luke Cage would be color modern blaxploitation. And then Iron Fist will be modern daytime soap opera. That.
Horrible kung fu soap opera.
Oh, my feelings. It's like, no, first off, that was a terrible idea. We are not trying to watch Falcon Crest. It's supposed to be a comic book series about a dude who's got kung fu. And literally, you're watching, you're like, wow, this seems like melodrama that's totally unnecessary, kind of like a really bad evening soap opera, primetime soap opera. Oh, and every once in a while he's going to karate chop somebody with a superpower to remind you that it's supposed to be a soap. I mean, just total thumbs down. Mm-hmm. Maybe only the second best thing they had was Cloak and Dagger, which was not part of this series.
No.
And the only thing good about that was you had some pretty good, teenage angst and shot in New Orleans, and the two of them are tied together, but they're not romantically inclined. So that little pull is a little bit good. And
if I got Daredevil, I mean, that was the cool thing about those characters. All of them to a certain degree had noirish elements because they were basically about working class, superheroes. They weren't,
But Daredevil was a detective show. Daredevil was L.A. law with punching people in the face and getting beat up. A brutal L.A. law, bludgeoning L.A. law. And so its best characteristics were the bludgeoning. And then the LA law part, we got this case, we got to solve the case. And
Well, I don't know. LA law was more about the cases and everything. I mean, I know he was a lawyer, but I just sort of saw that he was sort of like, his alter ego was trying to defend people in a different way. But no, I know what you mean. But it was sort of, it's sort of like the Daredevil to me is he sort of seems sort of like the film noir version of Spider-Man. Like Spider-Man, you have a lot of colors and everything.
Yep.
And because of the blindness that Daredevil has, and this, it's just a lot
the
of
film noir part is the gritty
part of the city, nasty,
the gritty
criminals.
under part of the city. There's never really going to be any full true justice.
Yeah.
There is a organized criminal undertone. The guy who played Kingpin, perfect. Yeah. Just an amazing interpretation of Kingpin.
Mm-hmm.
An amazing interpretation of Kingpin. You're watching this like, oh, okay, that's a different kind of thing. He acts doughy and dopey, and then he snaps and is vicious, and it was all a part of his plan. He suckered you in that you thought he was doughy and dopey, and by you, he suckered like other organized criminals.
Mm-hmm.
He pulled them in. Oh, okay. Oh, you're only going to give me half of the deal? Oh, okay. We'll do this crime together, but you're only going to give me half of the deal, and you're going to yell at me? All right, I'll let you yell at me until I crush you. I had that in mind the whole time, and I squeezed you with my bare hand, and now I'm in charge, and you're dead. Oh, yeah. I'll go back to this.
That was interesting.
That was quite a twist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, this was interesting because someone I was listening to it was a class that we're taking online, and somebody had mentioned it was an interview, I guess, that 50 Cent was talking about power, and they talked about the fact that if you're going to have a villain, one thing that you can really do in order for people to have empathy for someone doing something so horrible is to give them either something they love or someone they love. And I definitely thought of the Kingpin in Daredevil, because there's part of you that you sort of see that he's how lonely he is, how isolated he is because of who he is.
Yeah.
And the fact that he is able to find this one woman that loves him. I mean, it adds to it. So
So those two did a nice job. Maybe throw on Cloak and Dagger. But they got to keep working on it to do television. So those are the other things I was thinking about while we're in this full-on opportunity to binge, to explore the limits of all the streaming services, so they ain't got none left. And so that's what I've been thinking about. So, want to close out our thinking about it show?
Definitely. So yeah, this couple of, there's a number of things that are on our mind. So thank you for spending the time with us. There are things that are on your mind. Yeah, feel free to let us know. Just email.
Until next time, it's Jeff Johnson.
Claude Faitier.
Talk to you.